Hello and welcome to Phoenix Rising, presented by Zwift, the ultimate indoor training app. Fun is fast, head to Zwift.com. Phoenix Rising is a new video podcast series backed by the Phoenix Foundation, where we talk to some of the greatest athletes in the world about what motivates them, about their mindset, their challenges, and how they rise. A look into the minds of those who have scaled the peak of human endeavour and what we can all take from that to implement in our own lives. Episode 1 features none other than dual Olympic gold medalist, Sub7, Sub8 star, and a man who truly and honestly has changed the way triathlon is raced. It's Alistair Brownlee. The Phoenix Foundation presents the Phoenix Rising podcast, brought to you by Zwift, the ultimate indoor training app. Fun is fast. Head to Zwift.com. How you going, man? First of all, how are you? How are you feeling? How are you firing? Especially after this ridiculous gravel race you did the other day I saw on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, I'm all right. I've been still struggling with my ankle, which has obviously just been really, really tough. Just like constant, just having to deal with the fact that it's kind of taking more time. But touch wood, hopefully, it maybe just feels like it's coming round a bit now. So obviously that'd be good to get training and running properly. That's the kind of main focus. But yeah, I've just had been able to do some different gravel racing. Did that the Badlands that was 3 weeks ago now. That was just like nothing I've ever done before. Going for 2.5 days and being out there just riding, which was mad. I only decided to do it 10 days before, and it was absolutely mad. I've never done anything quite like it, but I'm really glad I did do it. And it's weird. It's like really weird. I'm riding at 2-3 a.m. in the morning through the middle of the night, thinking, you know what, I'm really enjoying. I'm enjoying this. It's weird. Like it is. I know it is just weird. But I found something like really simplistic and enjoyable about the only thing I had to worry about for 2.5 days was riding my bike forward. And that included riding the bike forward over mountains and through deserts and over obviously 750k. But I say I enjoyed it, and I did enjoy like 90% or even more actually. The last whatever it was, like 30k, I'd kind of had enough of it for sure. But until I got to that point, I was enjoying it. I really, genuinely, it was good. Really, really strange. Like everyone I've spoke to since, I've been like, it was tough. It was long. It was hard. It was hot. Loads of mountains, loads of sand, But honestly, everyone should do it. There's just something about it.
Yeah, I mean, it really interested me in terms of obviously what Phoenix is about and stuff, because you put yourself in a challenge there. Lucy does the same thing. She goes and does things that she, probably it doesn't guarantee that she's going to win, or there's no real purpose other than to test herself, and to see that, it's a completely another level again. So what drew you to it? Is it just obviously you've been laid up a bit, so I suppose then you wanted to challenge yourself in a different arena after the pressure of Tokyo and all of that kind of stuff, and what thoughts were running through your head that kept you going?
Well, I think a few things. I think the first thing is I've been massively lucky to be a professional athlete for a decade. It is very literally a childhood dream to make a career out of being a professional sports person. But the downside of being a professional sports person is there's been all these, cool things over the years that I've thought, I'd love to give that a go, or, what a shame that I can't do that. And ultimately I've made the choice not to do that because I've been training for the next event, or there's a race that weekend that's more important, or, it doesn't fit with training and stuff. So to have the opportunity to do it was, I thought, I've got to do it. And I did have a few days of not being sure whether actually I wanted to do something that extreme. A friend of mine said, you should give this a go. And I spent a few days going, do I want to do something that mad? And then going, well, actually, you've wanted to do stuff like this for years and years when you've not been able to do it. You better get on, now you've got the chance, grab it with both hands. So there's definitely that, really, I've been immensely lucky to be a professional athlete, but really my background is in doing challenges, adventure stuff, seeing how far I can push myself, exploring new places, enjoying being active, enjoying the natural environment around me. I mean, that's really why I did sport in the first place, and kind of got caught up with being a competitor along the way. Um, so there's that, and then the second part of it is, yeah, I knew when my ankle wasn't great, and I also, Kona being postponed was a big deal. Knowing that there wasn't kind of the emphasis to push and try and get fit for that race in October. When that was postponed, I was like, well, that gives me the opportunity actually for the first time in a long time not to push and rush back for the next race, but to give my ankle time on not running on it and let it recover, hopefully for prosperity, and to race a few more years into the future, and do some other challenges along the way. And when you think that, obviously you don't think that a 2.5 day challenge is going to come your way, but it did. And yeah, so I did it. I decided I had no excuse not to do it, and went for it.
I like this. So a normal person, right, would go like, okay, challenge, right? Dry July, right? I'm not going to drink for 30 days, and you're like, I'm gonna ride a bike across 750 k's. That's the difference between the normal human being and Alistair Brownlee, I suppose. But what I've noticed, like just in the last 5 minutes of talking to you, is that you seem really relaxed, right? So last time I talked to you, obviously there was all this Tokyo stuff, and there was a lot to think about, and obviously you've gone through the injury, and it's still lingering, as you say, but you seem really chilled. Is that a fair point?
Well, thank you. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I don't know. You just seem happy and relaxed to have it all, like all that past, and be able to explore some other passions for a little while.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the ankles really forced that on me. It was super stressful. I was training absolutely as hard as I could for the Olympics. Earlier in this year, I just started to believe, going, yeah, I've got a few good races under the belt now. Training's going even better. This might actually work out. And then within literally a week, the rug got pulled out from under me, and I was injured again, and it was tough. It was really tough. And then going through the process of being injured, having to have another operation, missing more time out of doing it was really tough. But really, I guess I had to just reassess my kind of goals and point of view from that, and go, actually, yeah, you can't race, and actually, it's probably not good to try and push and race, which is basically what I've done for like the last decade, I guess. And go, yeah, that this gives me the chance to do some of these other things that I haven't had the chance to do. Um, let's go and do it. And yeah, it's strange. Like I can't talk. I can't say enough how much I enjoyed riding through almost an entire night one night doing doing Badlands, and I've talked a bit about and written and about it. But I was riding along the Spanish coast after coming over mountains and desert, and that is no exaggeration, through the only desert in Europe, over mountains over 2,000 meters high, hit the coast, and it's a relatively touristy area, and I'm going through these various towns as the course takes me kind of over roads and across beaches, and all sorts, and on various stages of watching people on an evening out. One town they're having dinner, at the next town the bars are full. As I got all the way down the coast later, and basically all I saw on this coastal path was couples in each other's embraces, should we say, on park benches at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just, and then I headed off back into the middle of nowhere, up a rocky track. And I was just thinking, yeah, this is great. It's really strange, but very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Nigel Mitchell, who you brought on board a few weeks ago, and he really felt as though there was, especially in nutrition, first of all, that there's some gains to be made, and I know that he's been working with Johnny as well, and we've seen that reflected in his results, in the last 6 months or so, and that first of all, having that addition and that extra voice must be a really good solid step in the right direction, because he's kind of got his finger in all those little areas.
Yeah, Nigel's awesome. He's probably, in lots of ways, hands and feet, head and shoulders above, so many of the kind of people I've worked with in my sporting career, just for like pure enthusiasm, knowledge, experience. We've actually crossed each other's paths loads over the years. We're Northerners from Yorkshire. He's a fellow Yorkshireman, which obviously always helps. And but we've crossed paths over the years in all kinds of forms. But obviously he's had a career working in professional cycling and working with the best cyclists in the world. And yeah, he's just brings a great perspective to everything, fantastic knowledge, and more importantly than anything, you probably realise from speaking to him, brilliant enthusiasm.
Yeah, it was a 10-minute chat that turned into an hour-long discussion about every single little possible thing, and he's got the same professional respect for you. There's no doubt about that in terms of what you bring to this, and that he can take your guide on that, and you have a very definite thoughts about what you want, which I think that sometimes with other athletes they don't necessarily have. And then technologically wise, are you finding that they're like speaking with your sponsors, starting to have those conversations, that there is legitimate gains to be made over what is available now in market, what you're going to have when you get to this point? Obviously there's some rules that are relaxed in terms of wetsuit thicknesses, etc. But just more generally, do you think that there's legitimate technological gains to be made that could end up trickling into the triathlon market eventually?
Yeah, I think firstly it's worth saying all my sponsors have been absolutely awesome. I think everyone that I've talked to, actually, or even come to me, have been fascinated with the project. Like, it's really kind of ignited people's imagination, and people have just got it and gone, yeah, isn't it cool for us to make whatever that might be, wetsuit, skin suit, bike, aerodynamic stuff, or, whatever, nutrition that is really maximizing what we can do to go as fast as we can, where we are relatively unbound by certain regulations. And yeah, without a doubt, everyone's got it, from working with the guys at Hoop for wetsuits, Scott bikes, and other aerodynamicists, working with the tire guys at Schwable, Adidas with their trainers. Everyone has just got it and thought this is a fantastic project, and that's brilliant. And it was a major part of the Sub7 project, and it's great that really great that it's ignited people's imagination and enthusiasm. And yeah, there are gains, definitely. The gains that I think first and foremost come from looking for them, and that I think a project like this is just a motivation, that kind of ignition to look for those gains for maximum speed. And there's gains that come from being, maybe being a bit unchained from some of the rules and regulations that are currently there.
Can you give us one name? I can hold on to it. It can stay out of the public domain. And I know you're going to say Johnny. Is Johnny going to be part of your team?
I hope so. He hasn't agreed yet, but yeah. Now he's doing so well racing on his own. He might refuse. He might cost too much, but yeah. But yeah, I hope so.
He hasn't agreed yet. What do you mean he hasn't agreed yet? Surely you just sent him a text, mate, be free on this day. Like, you're the older brother here.
Well, you would have thought it's that easy, wouldn't you? But
all right. Well, in a month's time, can I get some names from you? Can we get some reveals? Because we're going to have to start revealing them. Is that going to be all right?
Well, we've got ages till June. Come on, we've got ages.
I know.
We can't.
I'm going to keep the people excited.
We can't give away too much too early. Like,
jeez. All right, we'll move on. Now Zwift's coming on board as a presenting partner. That's fantastic news for us. They're extremely enthused by this project, and they see the same benefits that all of your sponsors see in terms of pushing forward the limits of human achievement and really capturing that. And I think that's what they've been sort of had a big hand in terms of what they deliver to your average athletes, to your weekend warrior, all the way through to someone like yourself. I mean, what do you think about Zwift as a platform, and how do you use it in your week to week?
I think I think Zwift is an awesome partner for this. I mean, I ride on Zwift relatively frequently, depending on the weather. It's no secret that I much prefer riding outside when I possibly can. But I think Zwift has completely transformed indoor riding for me. Changed it from something that I really don't like doing to something actually that I find quite fun, basically, because there's a competitive element of racing other people all the way around the world in the form of yeah, characters on a screen. But for some reason, it gets the most out of me in in that competitive situation. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. I really, I think any technology, whether it's me as a professional athlete and it encourages, inspires, motivates me to do physical activity, or actually someone who wasn't inspired to do that hour of cycling before work, or that hour on a weekday evening, and I think Zwift does that. So I think that is genuinely awesome. So yeah, I think also I think that they're a great partner, and obviously performance focused on one hand in terms of the racing, but on the other hand, kind of mass market, just providing the tools for everyday people to enjoy being fit and active, which I also think is really awesome, and something I'm very passionate about.
It's funny, isn't it, when you go on the thing, you go on the app, and I'm like, all right, 4:30, I can do that race, and then at about 4:15, I'm like, oh, I feel a bit nervous. I don't know if I can do this. I'm ready the competition, and then you're at the start line, and then there's suddenly like 400 people. You're like, oh, he looks like he's cycling pretty quick. Look at that gear on that guy. It's the same as in real life. It's exactly the same. It's very stressful in the garage for me. But what I like about it is obviously you're getting instant feedback. So those numbers that come on that you get, you obviously don't get all of them when you're riding outside. Being able to train in those zones and knowing exactly what the feedback is like coming back to you, does that help in terms of what your effort and output is, and knowing how that fits into your training plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think I use Zwift for two different things. Yeah, I do use it sometimes if I'm trying to do a very specific session, and obviously with no hills or headwind, tailwind, corners, traffic, whatever. Um, that allows me to do a specific session. But I mean, frankly, you could do that on a turbo, and Zwift just provides a bit more added interest, and that's cool. Definitely, what I use before a lot more is racing, and I don't mean like really competitive racing all the time. I could be sat here thinking I need to do a session. Oh, there's a race in 5 minutes, and then it's stressful when I'm running to my turbo shed, trying to turn everything on, load the computer, get the turbo going. I 9 times out of 10 I forget my heart rate and a drinks bottle and all sorts. So yeah, and that is stressful. Jump on, and as the race is going, I'm jumping on a bike and sprinting off the start line. What Zwift gives me there, for years I've trained on a trainer, and I definitely can't get out of myself what I can on the road, or riding with others on the road in kind of a competitive situation. But Zwift completely turns that on its head. I can push numbers and push myself harder than I can. I think in almost anything else, and that's what I use it for, to when I need to in training, to really push and get the most out of myself.
One thing I'm interested in is, and everyone's pacemaking team is different. Some people's are going to be scattered across the world a little bit more. Obviously, all of these guys or girls have their own schedules, etc. So the idea of using Zwift as part of with your pacemaking group to work on communication, having people coming in and out, is that something that's crossed your mind at all in terms of being able to do, or at least communicate in a group of people remotely?
Actually, no, I haven't thought about that, but yeah, I think that's a very valid point. Zwift is that, I guess, it's not only a training tool as such. There's a big social aspect to it, and being able to catch up socially and do a bit of training at the same time with people who are remote and all over the place, I think is probably a really good thing.
How are you going to do that on the road? Are you going to? So, how have you thought about communicating on the road when you're actually out there in Sub7? if it's like a team captain back in because everyone can do it differently however they want. So do you have someone pulling the strings back in the pits, or are you going to be yelling at people? Obviously you're not. You want to keep your head down. How do you think that's going to work? And the swim's a different beast again, in terms of being able to communicate. Have you put any thought into those communication elements for getting that completely right?
The simple answer to that is no, but it is definitely something that I'm going to put a lot of thought into. Yeah, I mean, especially on the bike, I think communicating, making sure people are doing the job, and yeah, that being being, I guess, mega smooth, even paced on the bike, at those kind of speeds is going to be really important. And I think to do that, there is going to have to be some level of on the road communication. And yeah, I think that's probably going to have to happen by radio formats if required. But yeah, that's something that I've got to work out.
So let's move on to your rival, your sparring partner, Christian. I mean, while you've been, bike packing across Europe, and obviously, in Tokyo, you were there in a different capacity, but he's been winning Olympic gold medals, and then he's been winning the WTCS, and obviously he had a mechanical in the 70.3 Worlds, but he's had that year. What do you think about that? I mean, do you go, oh, he's in good form, or are you just happy that he's going to be able to? Well, you're going to be able to destroy him after all his dreams have come through.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, it's been really cool to watch. I was there in Tokyo and watched it. I was obviously been watching the World Series, and yeah, to put those performances together, yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really cool to watch, and it's been fantastic that it's him that's done it. He races across all the different distances in triathlon, and having that ambition to do stuff at different distances. I think is brilliant. Is great for the sport. But yeah, I mean, I in terms of its relevance to Sub7 physically, I actually don't think it has. I guess not that I haven't given it too much thought, but it probably doesn't have too much relevance. And there is some. I mean, genuinely, this sounds like an easy thing to say, but at that kind of iron um, distance, and especially when you're trying to do it at that kind of speed, well, the Sub7 kind of speed, it becomes very much like a personal thing. How much can I do at this time? What can I push? How fast can I run, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, when that will be my approach to the race, it becomes a very much kind of individual approach of yeah, what can I do?
That's a very good answer.
And obviously, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I hope very much that was faster than whatever he could do. But yeah, that's the approach.
We will find out.
Yeah.
We will find out in June. So what's the plan between now and then for you? I mean, obviously you've ticked a few boxes of things you want to do. Kona has been put back to February, which obviously is great news for you. What's the plan next month, next 3 months? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, at the moment I'm at home and I'm training, and I'm like got full focus, kind of frankly, on trying to get my ankle working and the body healthy as possible, and yeah, and hoping that comes off, and then yeah, really it's kind of focused training. I'm hoping that the Kona will be on in February, and I race that. And really, from training from now across physically, mentally, technical, tactically, and scientifically, my focus is on the Sub7.
Wow, 9 month lead up. So your ankle, when can you run again? Well, I mean, obviously you just said at the start that it hasn't kind of healed in the way that you would have liked. Is it complicated, or is it just a timeline thing and a patience thing?
I'm hoping it's a patience thing, but yeah, patience is not a not something I think I'm probably endowed with in great quantities. But yeah, I mean, yeah, hopefully it's a time thing. Yeah, I'm hopeful at the moment that it is kind of turning a corner, and it's heading in the right direction. But yeah, it's been really frustrating, and yeah, I'm doing all I can to make it better.
One thing that I just want to touch on before we wrap up is obviously Phoenix and the Brownlee Foundation are starting to work together in the UK across the education program, kids triathlons, and that I think, and I'm supposing that as time goes on, that you're going to have a little bit more time to dedicate to things like that, and that must be really exciting for you to see that partnership, but also what the Brownlee Foundation continues to do, and now in partnership with Phoenix.
It's really exciting, the partnership with Phoenix and the Brownie Foundation. The Brownie Foundation is something that Johnny and I have worked hard on for, I think, 7 or 8 years now. That kind of involvement, I've played a role in everything from fundraising, literally Johnny and me have put big quantities of our own money into it, spent time, effort, fundraising, doing events to raise funds, to what else, trying to look at the statistics of the type and demographics of kids that we're servicing. That's actually something that I've got a call on with the university tomorrow, to looking at various ways of public funding, to finding new venues, to engaging kids. I think maybe being Northern English people is a lot of things we don't talk about enough. But there is enormous amounts of work there, and it's something I think we're very proud of, with having over 30,000 children do triathlons through our foundation. And obviously, it's not something we do just ourselves. We have a great team of people around us that help us do it, but it's a lot of work, and most of that work is done on a voluntary basis by people who we know and trust, which is awesome. But yeah, having Phoenix come in with that partnership is absolutely brilliant. It's kind of really accelerating the progress we've made over the last, or pre-COVID, over the last 3 or 4 years, for 2 more years to come, and being able to put on more events, which ultimately will lead to thousands, if not tens of thousands, of more young people having an opportunity to do triathlon, which is really cool. And yeah, our kind of theory, we use triathlon as the vessel to expose young people to swimming, cycling, and running. But we fundamentally believe that almost every young person has a passion of some form. That might be sporting, it might not. But if those people don't experience triathlon and swimming, cycling, running, they may never know that that is their passion. And so by exposing them to those sports, hopefully we're doing something really great. And yeah, by exposing even more children to those sports, we hope that more children be inspired to keep them going.
Outstanding, mate. Well, that's a really good point to finish up. Thank you so much for your time. It's been outstanding to talk to you again. Good luck with the ankle and all of that, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.